course, that music means we're going to talk a little bit of cricket. Now, we're not going to be talking to any of the Australian internationals, but we are going to be talking to a man who has played international cricket. And in fact, he has just written a book about his experiences called Machine Guns and Cricket Bats. And here to tell us all about it is Jeff Grzinic. Jeff, welcome to Not the Footy Show. Great title for a book, and you've certainly piqued our interest.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on for starters. And, yeah, look, I think the title certainly gives a little bit away about the book, but I think it also asks a lot of questions as well.
Now, I mentioned you are an international cricketer, and it's probably, with all due respect, not a name that many cricket fans would have heard of. So maybe you could tell us your international story.
Look, basically, I played cricket for Croatia. And it is an ICC sort of country. It's a developing country, obviously. And we basically play all around Europe with all the other sort of European countries, you know, ranging from, you know, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, Slovenia. You basically name any European country and they have a side. And it's obviously broken up into different divisions. And yeah, we basically have tournaments every year, and obviously that all sort of goes towards qualifying for the World 2020 World Cup, and that's sort of the way the ICC sort of sees cricket in obviously Europe and the other developing sort of nations. So that's what we're trying to do, mate. We're off to Corfu later this year to try and win that tournament and work our way to the 2020 World Cup.
Corfu. Yeah, not bad.
Yes. Not bad, is it?
It's pretty good.
Yes.
Now, are most of the Croatian team Australian immigrants, or are they from all around the world that go back to put on the shirt for Croatia?
Look, basically, it's a pretty interesting story of how Croatian cricket sort of come about. Look, Croatian cricket is actually older than it is in Australia, and that's a little known fact. But yeah, there was some English guys used to stop off on their boats on the magnificent Croatian islands, and they used to sort of stop over there and rest and recuperate, and obviously played cricket, and that's sort of how cricket obviously started off in Croatia. But look, nowadays there's a mixture. There's only everyone has to be basically a Croatian citizen, and has had to qualify through the ICC's rulings of, you know, amount of days and time spent in the country. So I would say there's probably about 4 guys living abroad outside of Croatia that represent the country, like myself. But yeah, most of the guys, and it's obviously a big push, and the ICC is really interested in developing talent in the countries themselves. And whilst obviously I'm there to try and take some wickets and make some runs and do all that sort of stuff, I'm obviously there to try and develop the game as well through coaching and basically bring some experience to the local lads.
Now, Jeff, I believe, is it Michael Di Venuto's been playing for Italy as well?
Yes, he has.
Are there any other Australians over there plying their trade?
Look, Steve Nikitaris, who played for the Western Warriors and New South Wales Blues, represents Greece. Obviously, Di Venuto played a little bit for Australia and has had a magnificent sort of county career as well. And then he recently played for Italy in Dubai and has played for a number of years as well. Joe Scuderi, another guy who I think is currently the coach of Italy, was a former first-class player, obviously here in Australia for the South Australian side. Had a lot in England. Who else have we got?
Isn't there one of the English wicketkeepers? Doesn't he play for Papua New Guinea now?
Papua New Guinea, yeah. Is it Gareth Jones or Geraint Jones? I think his name is.
Geraint Jones, yeah. Yeah.
And we've got obviously the great man Simon Kadich. Hopefully one day we can get him to don the Baggy Red, as we call it.
Well, we were going to ask you about that. I mean, he's written the foreword to your book, Machine Guns and Cricket Bats. Is that because of the Croatian connection? I mean, did you know Simon Kadich and that's how you got him to do it?
Yeah, look, I've got Simon Kadich has written the foreword for my book, and another good friend of mine, Darren Maddy, who has obviously represented England in all forms of the game, and is an absolute legend of the county circuit over there, and is known as Mr. 2020 through his exploits for Leicester, and now he's with Warwickshire. But look, yeah, both of those guys have known him for quite a while, and I sort of look, I know a couple of those sort of high-profile guys, but look, Simon's a fantastic fella, and I thought with the story the way it is, and the cat being the guy he is, I just thought it really lent itself to the story, which is obviously a little bit about the Croatian, you know, cricket circle and, you know, what I've been doing over the last 10 years in playing all over Europe, and I just thought the cat was probably the perfect person to sort of, add a little bit to the story. And it's just, what a magnificent last year it's been for Simon in terms of getting some headlines for me too. So that hasn't been too bad.
Exactly. Do you think you will get him to wear the baggy red, as you call it?
Look, yes, I actually think we're going to wear him down. He's obviously playing at the moment over for Hampshire, and look, I've spoken to him as recently as a couple of days ago, and I have certainly been hinting that now that he doesn't play for Australia, he should come and play for us. And he's he certainly hasn't said no to it, and I think that as a last cricketing conquest, I think he'd be pretty proud to do it, mate. And I think if we wear him down enough, he will eventually do it for us. But obviously, he has to qualify through the ICC and all that sort of stuff. So depending on how all that goes, I think if it's an easier path for him and it's not too hard. I mean, like he's obviously proud of his heritage, etc. And he's just a fantastic guy. And I think it'd actually be really great for the development of the game in Europe as well to have someone of his calibre, a current player who could probably still be playing Test cricket, in all honesty, playing for someone like us. Might even get him to bowl a little bit more too. I thought he was underbowled as an international myself, but
underplayed, totally underplayed.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately,
he won't go down that one.
Give his uncles a ring. If they're Croatians, they'll be keen on making sure he turns up, I'd say.
Yeah. Look, the Croatians, and we're a very proud lot of sort of, who we are and where we've come from and all those sorts of things. And look, I think, anyone that represents any country in any sport, I think you're pretty proud of that fact. And obviously, Simon's proud of his origins, and sort of, as am I. Both my parents were born over there. I was obviously born and raised in Australia, and I've spent the last 11 years or so every single year, every single Australian winter, which is their summer, which I'm blessed with, over there playing cricket and touring with the team, and hopefully passing on some of the skills of what I believe to be the greatest game.
I suddenly don't like you.
Now, Jeff, are you telling me you spend the Australian winter on the Croatian coast, eh?
Playing cricket. There's nothing better than that,
It's not bad, is it?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
Nice. It was 3 degrees here this morning.
I know, mate. I'm still here at the moment, I'm counting down the days till I get on that plane and then head over to Croatia and catch up the guys. And then, obviously, the next stop after Croatia, we go to Greece and Corfu. So there.
Tough.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how did it come about, though, that you found yourself playing for Croatia?
Look, about the 10-year mark, something along those lines, Croatia enabled dual citizenship for the first time, and the Croatian guys that were sort of playing over there thought this might be a bit of an idea to sort of try and get a few of the local lads, because a lot of the Australian Croats go back every summer anyway, and they have holiday houses there, etc., to catch up with the family, and they sort of thought, well, if these guys are coming back pretty much every summer anyway, or for extended periods of time, we might, it's obviously some good cricketers around that of that heritage, and they sort of thought this might be a good excuse to sort of try and see if a few of them wanted to sort of play and obviously become dual citizens, which you needed to be, and obviously play in the local leagues and, pass on some of the skills that, we've obviously acquired over the years from playing, sort of whacker league cricket here, etc., in my case. So I think that's sort of how it sort of started, and that's how I got a phone call out of the blue asking me whether I'd be interested in representing Croatia in cricket. I nearly fell over.
I'm sure you did. And I mean, the other thing I was going to ask you is obviously you've played in a lot of these strange places, and the title of the book, I'm sure, came from a game you played in Tel Aviv. The machine guns, I believe, were all around the pitch while you're playing, which must have been a little bit unnerving. I mean, was that the strangest place to play?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest stories, I think. We're the first, and the thing is that Israelis have played cricket for a long, long time at a decent sort of a club sort of level, but at a decent level, and they've just been starved of international sport, obviously, through the political sort of situation, etc., that are there. So we were actually the first international game of cricket that's ever been played in Israel, and it was at the Tel Aviv Olympic Stadium, and, because of the political sort of situation, we were escorted everywhere we went by all these Israeli soldiers with machine guns and the battle fatigues, and it was quite unnerving for, obviously, someone that lives in Australia to sort of, be surrounded by, these guys with machine guns and at an Olympic stadium, and, it was just pretty surreal. And I found myself at one point sitting down, and I was just looking at the guys with machine guns that were sort of, basically the security, making sure people sort of couldn't get into the playing arena. And I thought, how did I come to get in this situation where I'm finding myself guarded by guys with machine guns over the opposite side of the world playing a one-day international match in Israel? And I was just scratching my head, and I just had a bit of a chuckle to myself, to be honest.
I'm sure you did. Well, it sounds a fantastic book, Machine Guns and Cricket Bats. John wants to ask you something before we let you go.
Yeah, I did have another question, wouldn't you know? It's just no, the one I wanted to ask you, I nearly forgot. When you guys go out to play, who's your biggest rival for the Croatians when it comes to cricket? Who do you guys... It wouldn't matter if you lost every game for the season, but we must beat these blokes.
Well, I think I know where you're heading with this question, but I think you're going towards the old Serbian sort of Croatian thing. But look, we've always had a very friendly rivalry with the Spanish. They've been very, very good against us for a long period of time, and the Slovenians earlier than that. But you've got to remember too, over the 10 years of my involvement, we've basically gone from Division 5 to Division 1 in Europe. So every year, almost every year, we've won tournaments or done very well, and we've gone up to the next level. So we haven't really, and the Spanish, I guess, because there was a few years there where it was sort of us versus them in a lot of intriguing sort of battles. But we sort of left them behind a little bit, which has been great. So look, I'm really looking forward in this tournament in particular to playing against Greece, because obviously my mate Steve Nikitaris is going to be fronting those guys, and he was a pretty fearsome sort of player when I actually played at the same club with him, Perth Cricket Club, here in the WACA comp, and he was just a fantastic player back then. And I'll tell you what, I've seen him recently. He lives in New South Wales, and he's in fairly good nick for a 40-year-old. So it was a very quick bowler back then. So I'm looking forward to tangling with Steve Nikitaris from Greece.
Well, what we'd like to ask, Jeff, is when you get back, stay in touch with us, because we'd love to see how you got on. It's been fantastic talking to you. Hope the book goes really well, Machine Guns and Cricket Bats. It sounds a really interesting read, and we'll let everyone know where they can get a copy. But thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you.